So I just want to get on here to unpack the coat had to be destroyed, the coat of many colors had to be destroyed, and something happens when God remembers me. Let's just jump straight into it. When we think about Joseph's story, right? Joseph was his dad's favorite, and his brothers did not like him. The brothers did hard labor, and Joseph overseed them and basically would report back to their dad all their wrongdoings. And so we could just say, like, the brothers did not like him, right? And so then Joseph had these two dreams. God gave Joseph two dreams, not one, but two. And in both dreams, it indicates that Joseph will be ruling over a nation. And the brothers weren't happy about that. And so when they seen him coming down the hill, like when they were in Dothan, in the coat of many colors that was given to him by his dad, by their dad, they plotted to kill him. And the older brother spared his life. It was like, no, let's not kill him. Let's put him in a pit in the wilderness. And so they did that. And the older brother went away for however long. And they decided to basically sell him into slavery. They decided to give him off to slavery, right? And so I do not count it strange that God allowed it to be used, the coat of many color to be used as an identification to the dad that Joseph was quote unquote dead. He was slaughtered by a beast in the wilderness. I do not count it strange that God did not allow the coat of many colors to go with Joseph when he was sold into slavery, because the coat had to be destroyed. The coat had to be destroyed. God didn't give Joseph that coat of many colors. His dad did, right? And because I think it's safe to say that the lifestyle that the type of things that job that he was doing for his dad, overseeing his brothers, was basically preparing him to be an overseer over a nation, right? But there are things and characteristics, traits in Joseph that needed to go through a pruning process, right? God was going to use him to oversee a nation, yes, but there was a process that Joseph had to go through, right? Because God's qualification is better than humans' qualifications, right? God's qualification is better than human qualification. And so it's one thing when man qualified you, but it's a whole nother ball game when God qualifies you. And Joseph had to go through that pruning and that edification process. And the coat of many colors had to be destroyed. So when he was sold into slavery, he gained favor in the sight of Potiphar. And he started to work close to Potiphar. And then he ended up in jail, right? And then he gained favor in the sight of the guard, right? And he started to oversee the people in the jail. And he received just that favor from the guards in the prison. And then that's when basically those two prisoners had the dream, and he interpreted, God gave him the interpretation of the dream. Joseph was not obviously happy to be in prison, and he most likely was upset with God. He most likely, it didn't say that he was, but if you just put yourself in Joseph's shoes for just 1 second, right? This doesn't look like nothing that the dream had indicated to him. He thought he was about to be a ruler over many, or overseer of many, but he's overseeing people in a prison cell. He didn't think he belonged there. And obviously the wife lied on him. He was accused of something that he actually didn't do, so he didn't really belong there. But that was still a part of his process. God still was doing something in Joseph in that, even with what the enemy meant for bad. God was still using that for good to edify him to where he was trying to place him, right? And so he said it to not Potiphar, but Pharaoh's old cupbearer, saying like, hey, when you get your job back, when your job is restored back onto you, remember me, right? Remember me, because I don't belong here. I don't belong here. So tell Pharaoh about me. And it states in there in the Bible that when the cupbearer job was restored back onto him, that he forgot about Joseph, and Joseph was in jail for another 2 years. That had to hurt. But that wasn't God rejecting Joseph. That was God saying, the work is not done yet. The edification process is not done yet, right? Let's think about it. Even though Joseph had favor in the sight of his dad, his brother didn't like him. Now imagine if Joseph would have left from his dad's house, right, straight into an overseer over the nation. I don't think it would have made for a good relationship with the nation. Like, all he did was report back wrongdoings of his brothers. Yeah, he would have had favor in the sight of Pharaoh in some sense, but the nation would have never respected him. He didn't have what it take inwardly to be an overseer. So God had to prune him. God had to bring him through a edification process, right? And so when we segue into something happens when God remembers us, right? When that dream actually now come to pass, when that word of God that God gave to you, and He said, like, you will be doing this, you'll be using you to do this, right? When that actually came to pass in Joseph's life, things about Joseph now changed, and now he became qualified to be an overseer over a nation. So then God allowed the cupbearer to remember him 2 years later, because something happens when God remembers you, right? Things changed for Joseph. So things started to change for Joseph. His position changed. His finances changed. His living arrangement changed. He was no longer living in a prison, right? His marital status changed, right? Things about him changed. Things changed for him. And guess what was placed on Joseph? Not the coat of many colors. A fine linen. Fine linen. Because God's qualification, when God qualified you, it's far more better than when man qualifies you. When God remembers you, it's far more rewarding than you trying to make it happen yourself, right? Even his words change. He no longer was just interpreting dreams. When Pharaoh asked him, hey, it was said that you can interpret dreams, he said, who did he point it back to? He pointed right back to God. He said, no, God interprets dreams. In that process, Joseph decreased and God increased in his life. His words changed. You could tell because his words change. So whatever process you're in, and God showed you, may have give you visions, prophecies of where He's going to take you, and yeah, it probably don't look like what you thought it would look like. Do not jet the process, and do not try to get it done yourself. Right? It's far more rewarding when God remembers you, and He allowed that promise and that word to come to pass. Things starts to change. Everything starts pointing back to God, that only God could have done this, right? So I hope this message bless you, and like it blessed me. And just think about whatever your robe of many colors that is that needs to be destroyed. I'll tell you one thing. One of the things that had to be destroyed that was considered a coat of many colors for me was people validation. Oh, you're this girl. You're a great prayer warrior. Oh, you're gonna oversee, or you're gonna have many prayer ministry. Da, 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 da. Okay, you could say that, but what does God say? What does God say? I had to get to the place of not allowing people's word to butter me up, and get to bring myself into a place of humility and say, no, God, you bring me where you want to bring me. You do what you're trying to do, edifying me, because I don't want to put myself in a position of having to be knocked back down because of lack of humility. I don't want to get myself into a position of sitting on a high horse just to get knocked back down because I did not approach that position with humility, or with the heart posture that you want me to have, or the edification that you require me to go through. I don't want to get myself in that position and miss out on the growing process of what it takes to be in this position. So whatever your coat of many colors is, maybe it's accolades, maybe it's your human qualification, maybe it's your work history, your degree, whatever it may be. Yes, having human qualification is all fine and dandy, but it's much way more rewarding when God qualifies you and God calls you up. It's way more rewarding when God remembers you and positions you. I hope you guys be blessed, and I pray that this blessed you like it blessed me. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for tuning in.